to get back for honor,
Yeah.
respect.
Mm.
Why? If my daughter kneels down and honors you and greets you, how will you treat her?
It warms your heart. Let me tell you
But
something.
then you will look at her and say, this is a respectable person. This is a person of character.
Yeah.
Are you seeing how easy this thing is?
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Proverbs 31 woman. I mean, that's a very powerful woman to such an extent that I had a preacher thinking that it cannot be one woman. It has to be a composite of women. When it comes to a woman.
She's an ideal woman. But even as you continue, I want you to understand that Proverbs 31 is a voice of a woman, not a man.
Exactly.
It is not a man who wrote Proverbs 31.
Exactly.
It is a woman who described
this
virtuous woman. Continue.
And if you look at that virtuous woman, if you read on and on, at the end of the day, you find that she has honor in society, and even her husband and the kids and so on and so forth.
Truth.
Would you think, because we are imagining stuff at some point in time, would you think that this Proverbs 31 woman was also a submissive woman?
But it's in the text.
It's in the text right there. So it's not like...
But get this. It's in the text. The Bible says that her husband trusts in her fully, that she will do him good. Right? And because of all her work, he sits at the gate among the elders. Proudly. Now what does she get back? The Bible says that her children will rise up and bless her,
call her blessed.
And her husband too, saying, beauty is fleeting and charm is deceitful. A righteous woman is hard to find, but you have exceeded them all. What does she get back? Blessing. And this is where I want to come back to, because that very verse that the man is doing, the mother of a king is describing the ideal woman that maybe the king should have, right? And then she says, this kind of woman elicits this kind of response from her man and her children. And when you think about what that woman is doing, she's all about growing the family. She's all about protecting the family. She's all about making sure her husband turns out okay. And what does she get back? The respect of the man, the admiration of the man, the adoration of the man. And the man speaks. This is where I want us to go back to Ephesians.
Before we can go back to Ephesians, I want to report to you, of course I've already told, but just for the sake of our listeners to understand this, that I picked that quote from Kutesa, and I put it up there on social media.
Because there was fire.
There was fire. Okay. For the most part, the women in the Christian circles, the Christian circles,
the ones who should understand,
the ones who should understand
and
this. obey.
Continue.
For the most part, I could say, if I was to do some mathematical equation there, I could say more than 90% of those ones who responded to that responded in the negative. They say that this is no, not for me. Yeah. So
remember what I told you? Reality. The Bible is calling women to do things they will not do. While men want women to do the things that the Bible is saying that they should do. So the question is, are men willing to do the things that the Bible is telling them to do? And the Bible tells them to do a very simple thing.
Now, out of the world, when I talk about the world, listeners should understand that we're talking about guys who are not Christians. All right? There's a clip that I got from a guy called Jimmy Gadu. Actually, it was by Spice FM in Kenya. And one of the guys who are presenters in Spice FM is my friend on Facebook. We chat a bit. So she was interviewing Jimmy Gadu, and Jimmy Gadu had this to talk about.
There's these other people who they're like, that's my deal breaker. Like, I'm one of those guys. I'm one of those people where if you cheat on me, Jimmy, I'm out.
Yes.
I'm stepping out.
Yep.
That's my deal breaker.
Yep.
However, some who are like me then still forgive. They don't leave.
No.
They stay.
Very wise. Comes through experience. Can I tell you something?
Please do.
An old wise man, a friend of mine who was a former ambassador for Egypt, told me. Because he could see I was struggling with something. He says, Nini, I'm on nyumbani. I'm like, no usual. And he says, make sure musilale before you sort things out. And I asked him, why? Why do you tell me that? He said, I'm now on my 9th wife. 9th. I'm like, what? He said, yeah, you see that woman who came and served us tea? I mean,
Yeah.
make sure you mend things. That's my 9th wife.
Why does he have 9 wives?
He told me this. You see that 9th wife is worse than my first one. So what he was telling me is that women are more or less are the same. You don't expect anything different. Yeah, and he said, but the second evil 9th is the worst than the first one. So here's what happens. You see, for women, if the realization is, and a lot of the ones especially who say they forgive, is they ask, what is this thing that this mama is giving this guy? And they start, is it the sex? Yeah, I'll find out. Is it the this? The
What else can it be?
Exactly. I did a campaign called Unpacking.
Yes.
Here's what guys don't know. Before I was engaged, before we launched the product, I was given files and files of audio, video, and literature to read. And there's one video, where this guy was being interviewed. Wealthy guy, very wealthy guy. So he was asked, boss, you have and then they show a picture of his wife. He shows, bibi yangu, hot mama like you've never seen, just the way Nani Karigo looks, like that. Ukweli mambo, you know. So he's asked, boss, I mean, look at this woman is beautiful. Like, yes, that's my wife. Very proudly, that's my wife. Very beautiful woman. Then he was asked, then why? He said, here's what my wife does not have. When I get home to my first home, my kids open the door for me. So you can't see the guy asking. So the guy, you can hear the guy say, and what's wrong with that? He said, I didn't marry my children. My kids open the door for me. Yeah? And then when I get into the house, my wife looks at me, says hi, and proceeds to go to bed with the kids, make sure the kids have go to bed. So at in particular bedroom. When she goes, my house help comes. Yeah, because that's what she knows. Yeah. She comes, mzee ameingia, baba nani utakula? So I go to the sitting room and I remove my jacket and I loosen my tie. And then my house help, who was already in her room about to sleep, walks in. Wearing what? Answer that question. Wearing what? Jera?
Her 90.
There you are. 90 with a
lesso tied over.
No lesso. Who told lesso? With a bra? Danny?
See through.
There you are. Doesn't know any different.
Invisible.
Now, you know chairs, chairs are not like your length. You have to bend.
Yeah.
So she bends as she does to give this man food.
Yeah.
So he said, because I couldn't embarrass my wife by having an affair with our house help, I met this girl. And when I go to see her, this Mpangwa Kando, she opens the door for me in her lingerie.
Na si wacha bibi basi.
No, he can't.
Why?
Because he loves his wife. You see,
what is this thing called love that makes you think, that makes you sasa Jimmy, mimi kukosa kukufungulia mlango ni kitu ya kwenda kustep. Really?
Si kustep.
Really? Let's be serious.
By the bili ya stima umeiona? Na hiyo hata sifai kuiona, najua. Ni vitu najua, nafaa kulipa stima, nafaa kulipa maji, nafaa kulipa school fees. Najua. Usinikumbushe nimekuja home to my safe haven, to my peaceful haven. Swali yako ni umeona bili ya stima. Hautaki kujua siku yangu ule dem hata ajui bili yangu ya stima ya Mofaiga ni how much. Swali yake ni how was your day? Nikuweke shower, nikuomie chakula ama utakushaa kwa. Ask a question.
Spice. So what do you think about this? What is your take on this? Because Jimmy is saying that nearly all women are the same. And the situation he's painting is that in one scenario, this man gets back home and the wife is quote unquote not submissive or maybe not attending to his needs. But the one who does attend to his needs is who? The maid.
Another woman,
basically. Right. So what's your take on that one? You told me earlier on.
I said that women are all the same.
That's what Jimmy Gatto said.
Women are all the same, so if one does not respect you and then you leave her to go and get another one, and then you find that now that one has her own problems, and then another one has her own problems.
It's what you said earlier on, that the attitude of respect and submission is not like 100% 24 hours, 7 days a week.
It's not.
She changes. She has moments.
A woman is a good woman on different days. You get? But she's a woman every day.
Yeah. She's human
every day. So, what I've learned with my wife in our young and growing relationship is, my wife comes home from work and she's tired, right? And maybe that day I would have loved to have dinner cooked by my wife, but she's come home from work tired. And there are ways I could go about it if she does not cook, right? I could sulk.
You expect her to cook? Okay, go ahead.
I could sulk and say my wife is supposed to cook. She's supposed to go and slay in the office and in the world and do great things, and then come back and cook, and then wake up in the morning and go and do this and then give me some. Proverbs 31 woman. But we talked about different days, different feelings, same person. So when my wife comes home in that position, I've learned that I have to see my wife not as my wife, but as a woman.
As a human being.
As a human being.
Who gets tired.
And as my friend.
Who needs help.
Who needs help.
Needs you at some point in time.
So on that day, I can choose to either sulk and say my wife does not cook, or I can order for pizza and save her the energy of cooking.
Or you can cook.
Or I can cook.
Her favorite.
You get my point? So,
do you know where that goes, my friend? It goes back to those two things you discussed at the beginning. The intentionality and the discipline.
Thank you.
That's what brings, to me, I think that's what brings the whole thing together.
So what Mr. Gather is saying, that man comes home, wife that day is choosing to, maybe every day, she's free, and then the husband comes home, and then that is when she decides to take the kids to bed and point the food to him with her mouth. And he has come home and he wants to feel like a king. And the wife is too busy or tired to recognize that her king is home. And instead it is the maid who does this, doing this, maybe not so much out of respect, but out of obligation, because it's her work to cook. And I've always said this, that for a woman, and feminists need to understand this, that for a woman to go up in the world or climb up the ladder, she more often than not has to stand on the backs of another woman. It's researched. I have the research on this, that when the women moved out of home, someone had to step in and do what they used to do. Yeah? And that is where maids came in, and that's where helps came in. And that is why childcare is the most expensive bill in the West.
Alimony.
You get?
If
there is alimony. I'm talking about having just someone come home and help look after your kid. Now here in Uganda, people pay 50,000 to their maids,
which is
and because maids also like other women are go-getters. So if the maid is looking at this woman maltreating her husband, the maid wants her husband. And that is where she steps in and does the things that the wife is not doing. Now, we have to ask ourselves, what makes the wife act like that?
Yeah. Does she want to do that?
Like, why is she that tired?
Yeah. There's got to be some kind of catalyst.
You as a man, you ask yourself, what am I doing to elicit this
reaction? So it's physics.